this womb area, the reproductive system. And we're going to do hara, 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 hara. So hara, you're pumping, right? You're pumping the belly if you're not pregnant on your first 3 days of your cycle, right? Um, Belly button spine, so kind of squeezing in and then releasing, squeezing in, releasing. Hara. And you're pressing the tongue on the upper palate, and it's kind of flicking off, right? The upper palate, tapping, and then hara, hara, hara on the upper palate of the mouth. Hara, hara, hara. So this is a meditation. You're going to drop in. You're going to let your eyes kind of roll into your heart center, right? Roll down into the heart center, right? You're going to see this green energy, and you're going to project out with this green energy, right? You're going to extend your energy out, and you're going to organize, right, what it is that you desire, and you're going to create a plan, right? You're going to create a visual of it, right? The visual of it coming together, right? So this is your own inner journey. So as we chant like a strong sort of heartbeat, right? A steady sort of heartbeat, right? A steady but slow kind of heartbeat. You're going to roll your eyes back into your, roll down the spine into the heart. You're going to project out, extend your energy out, see this emerald seaweed green, and in that sort of green energy, you're going to organize and you're going to plan out what it is you want, and you're going to see it materializing, and you're going to see the reality, right? So you're using your vision, your psychic sort of enhancement to see into what it is you desire and see it materialize and see it organize and see it in a sort of a structure, right? A practical sort of this is it, right? In reality. So it's not elusive, it's not vague, it's not here, there, over there. See it as clear, see it as something that is a reality, meaning it's not up and down, elusive, here, there, something that you desire, but make it organized, make it clear, consolidate it, bring it together. Hara, 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 hada, 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 hada. Inhale. Press it into your reproductive system. Squeeze belly button of spine, tuck in the chin, press the tongue in the upper palate, sip more air through the nose. Exhale. Inhale. Squeeze. Exhale. Inhale. Squeeze. Exhale. Now place the palms of the hands into the eyes. Close the eyes and see into your palms your manifestation, what that is. Really focus, concentrate, be very attentive, listen, right? See that you're having a conversation with God. Inhale deep, exhale long. You're having a conversation with God. Let yourself receive that conversation. Feel the palms radiating heat, Reiki. Feel as though you're Reikiing your eyes. You're healing your optimal nerve. You're healing your eyes and see now white, pure white energy everywhere. Your eyes are healing. Your vision is healing. Feel your third eye, your pineal gland. Feel your pituitary gland. Feel them healing. Feel them flushing out toxins, decalcifying. Feel your inner ear. Feel it healing, recovering, repairing the inner ear. Able to sense frequencies and magic. Able to listen very closely to hear the subtlety of God. You're repairing your whole sort of sensitivity system. The eyes, the inner ear. The breath, the nose, the mouth, the throat. Breathe long and deep. Do not have a shallow breath. Breathe very deep. And see yourself healing your sensor awareness. Your ability to see into the future, into the past, into the present. Your ability to hear the voice of God within you. Okay, inhale. Exhale. Bring the hands here. Rub them together, create some heat. And bring the thumb, kind of the top of the thumb onto the chin like this. And kind of the fingers are just kind of at the nose, but not touching the nose, just like a couple millimeters away from the nose. And you're really kind of feeling the chin. You're pressing this thumbnail, this thumb onto the chin, the moon mound. I want you to focus your awareness on your chin, your moon. I'm going to use this mantra, but very quietly. Sadhanama, 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 Inhale. Hold. Squeeze root lock, chin lock, tongue on the upper palate, sip on more air through the nose. Focus on the chin like a big blue moon. Exhale. Now kind of hold your right hand on your reproductive system, and your left hand you're just going to tap. You're going to close your eyes and just tap this sort of the place between your eyebrows. And you're just going to focus on this sort of magenta energy. You're focusing on the pituitary gland and the pineal gland, going into the deeper brain. So focusing on that frontal lobe, stimulating the frontal lobe, focus on the pituitary gland, focus on the pineal gland, focus going down to the spine, to the deeper brain. So connect with the deeper brain, right? Go into the frontal lobe, the pituitary gland, go into the pineal gland, go deep into the brain, deep. Go into the deeper brain and go down the spine, right? In the deeper brain, go into the spine and go down all the way to the base of the spine, and then go up from the base of the spine all the way up to the deeper part of the brain. Connect that deeper part of the brain with the pineal gland, pituitary gland, and frontal lobe. And as you tap, you're sending this magenta gold energy into those areas, the deeper brain. You're nourishing the deeper brain. You're replenishing the gray matter of the brain. You're replenishing you're recovering, right? You're revitalizing your pineal gland, pituitary gland. You're making it light, nice and lush, right? Almost like it can become pink, right? It's very, very, become pink with lush, right? Very vital, clean, abundant energy, very youthful. Right, so you're decalcifying the frontal lobe, the pituitary gland, pineal gland. You're making it nice and lush. You're making it youthful. You're taking out the sort of decay, stagnancy, hardness, right? You're chiseling it out. Inhale, exhale. Now tap with all your fingers, kind of like all your fingers together. Tap at the thymus, go up and down the sternum, up and down the sternum, right, all the way to the collarbone, right, that place right in between the collarbone where it's a little bit soft, right, kind of towards the throat, and then go down the sternum all the way till you reach the last bone, or you get into the diaphragm. So go up and down and hold this womb or this reproductive system. Go up and down the thymus. Now you're working on that thymus energy. You're massaging that thymus, right? You're making it youthful, right? You're revitalizing this thymus gland. You're helping it to bring more vital chi. You're vitalizing it. The thymus gland is very much like a sort of, it's a master gland in the way that it brings a lot of chi to the liver, to the kidneys, right? It sort of reorganizes the total energy distribution throughout the body. It reorganizes it, right? It makes it's sophisticated. So you're awakening it, right? Because we want the distribution of chi, right, in our liver, in our kidneys, in our in the total system to be vital and be very potent. This thymus gland is a master gland. It's very much in charge of the distribution of chi, right? So chi we don't have decay in us. We don't have dead stuff in us. Right, we flush it through the lymphatic system, and then we flush into the thymus, and the thymus will clear it out, right? It will have us sweat, it will have us cry, it will have us experience some sort of immune system reaction, right? So that we can clear away the decay, the dead energy, right? Clear it out of our pores, clear it out of our nervous system, clear it out of our blood, clear it out of our tissue, right? The cells. So that we're always youthful, so that our liver and kidneys are always youthful, never becoming this sort of dark, grayish kind of color. So feel yourself now, feel your organs, right? Feel them like a color, feel them like gold, see them like pink, see them like green, see them blue, right? See your thymus blue. See that gland, right? This whole gland. See it like blue, like gas stove blue. See your adrenal glands. You can see them as like green or pink. You can even see your pituitary gland. You can see that as gold, very gold, very, very gold, like shining gold. You can see your pineal gland. You can see it like an indigo, deep, deep green, deep, bluish purple, like real deep blue, or it's almost purple, like a deep purple. So just connect with those glands and see them as color, right? See them as color. We have green, we have pink, we have gold, we have blue. It means your glandular system, right? The glands are secreting a high amount of vital, very extremely vital chi. And we get that only through the Kundalini energy, where we start to have beauty, where it starts, our glands actually give us an inner beauty, an inner glow, right? And that inner glow gives an actual color, right? You can see the glandular sort of secretion has an aura, it has a glow underneath the sort of, you can see it. You can visually kind of see the color of it. When your glands are very, very, they're glowing, they're very radiant, they're very healthy. There can be a beautiful color, right? A glow. And that glow kind of emits underneath our skin, and then that glow, that radiance begins to emerge with our blood, our lymphatic system, our nervous system, into the tissue, into the cells. Inhale. Exhale. So now that was the complete Kriya, right, that we did. Kind of really spacey right now, right? This Kriya makes you very spacey with the sort of the rotation of the spine and the rotation of the arms. That will definitely put you in hypnotic trance. So what we did is we seeded that mantra, Hum Hum Brahm Hum. We basically put that in a hypnotic state. We put that in our subconscious. So even in the quiet, when we were in the period of quiet, you could still hear it ringing, almost like it was ringing. So we want to put it in our inner ear, right, or that inner ear, because that inner ear represents the subconscious, where you can hear your subconscious, but we don't necessarily know that, right? You can hear sort of subconscious pattern streaming in you, and a lot of us are not even aware of that because we're not sensitive, right? We're not really sensitive to that inner ear and that subconscious pattern that's playing through us. That's literally like a radio, and it's dialing out, right? It's channeling out. So we kind of tune that inner ear to the frequency of Hum Hum Brahm Hum, which is actually a very creative. It's a very creative mantra. It's very creative in the way that it brings like creative. It's about creative prosperity, meaning it gives you good luck and gives you like a, sort of a pat on the back, like victory, like you got it, right? So that Hum Hum Brahm Hum, it makes you feel like you got it, right? There's victory available to you, that just keep going, and then you got it, right? So it gives you a boost, right? So we kind of seeded that in the inner ear, so we want to kind of bring that out, and we want to kind of allow that mantra to interact with our other subconscious junk, right? Our subconscious wasteland, so that this mantra is so high vibrational, it's so magnetic, that basically anything that is not that magnetism, it will literally correct it, right? It will literally go around whatever subconscious childhood pattern, phobia, whatever it is, in a wasteland of our basement, right? Our kind of debris in the basement. It will kind of, that mantra is so powerful in the way that it will wrap around that sort of subconscious pattern, right? That could be destructive, that could be fear, it could be phobia, it could be anxiety, it could be, childhood inner anger, whatever it is, right? It will literally wrap around anything that is not of its magnitude of prosperity and creativity. It will wrap around it, and it will basically eat it. It will eat it. It eat it. It will eat it, right? And it will digest it, and basically it will digest it, and it will consume it, right? And it will break it down into nothing. That means consume. You digest, you break it down into nothing, and you spit out the waste, right? You spit out, and you digest, and you metabolize, and you recycle whatever can be recycled into itself, right? So that prosperity frequency will consume, and it will recycle that sort of dead energy, whatever waste that's in our subconscious, and it will really eliminate whatever it can't, right, reprogram, and it'll reprogram the rest into into its magnificent sort of mantra, Hum Hum Brahm Hum. So that's through the inner ear, though, right? When you do this, you get so hypnotic, where your inner ear, it begins to like penetrate the inner ear, begins to ring, like even ring. And some people think it's agitating, or they become irritable when they hear these mantras, because their inner ear, the subconscious wasteland, it is so heavy in their inner ear, like it's so loud and so prevalent, that that thing that is of a higher frequency, that's trying to consume that subconscious, whatever thing that they keep playing in their head is so loud and obnoxious about them, it won't want to be consumed, because it's the consumer. Meaning, we have a lot of subconscious, sort of mega subconscious waste that's so heavy, so dominant, that's consuming us. It's consuming consuming new ideas. It's consuming, right? So that's why we play the mantra, so that that magnificent mantra, right? Hum hum brum hum, or other mantras we use. Basically, it becomes that sort of fierce sort of tiger that, in the subconscious land, that tiger keeps everything under control, meaning nothing will get out of hand. When you see that tiger, there's no mayhem going on, right? Because it's strict. It gives you that eye of the tiger where no subconscious junk or debris is going to come out unless I say so, right? And that's what these mantras do. Basically, you're putting a tiger in the jungle of your subconscious, whatever, shadows, fears, whatever junk that's just lingering around. Literally, no mayhem will be able to exist while the tiger, right? The tiger of vigilance and the tiger of confidence, and that tiger of, we're scared of it, right? Because it's real serious, right? It's real, like nothing's gonna get past me without me knowing, because that's how sensitive my inner ear is. So I can see you before you even come. I can hear you 2 miles away. I can smell you. You're not getting past me. And that's kind of what that mantra is like, you're not getting past me. Whatever thing that wants to slip in and try to sneak past me and kind of, consume me and, kind of eat me up, it won't eat you up, because you got that tiger. You can smell it, you can hear it, you can just sense it, that subconscious pattern. So you're ultra sensitive, you're ultra aware, and the way that when it comes up, you just know, okay, right? For example, like, you can meet somebody, like a relationship, for example, and you can see this subconscious pattern of, let's say, if you're a woman, your father and daughter relationship, you can see it, right? Or you can see the pattern between that guy, the other guys, and the other guys, right? Or you can start to see the way you interact, you can see the pattern of that. And you can also, when you see the pattern, you can also reorganize the pattern. You can change the pattern, right? Through the ability to listen, to pay attention, and to make new choices, right? When we don't have an inner ear, when we're not paying attention to the subconscious pattern of the childhood, whatever pattern, or the parental or societal pattern, and we keep just kind of, not even, just doing whatever kind of thing, and we feel mayhem, like, why can't I get it organized, my career or my love or whatever. But when you have an inner ear, right, you become very vigilant, and therefore your inner ear, especially that magnificent mantra, that power mantra of creativity, prosperity, it will be able to make new choices, right? So when you interact, you'll start to interact and you'll have new choices available, meaning you'll make new choices in love, you'll make new choices in career, you'll make new choices in your lifestyle and your daily routine. And those new choices are basically reflecting that you are basically dialing your subconscious out of the dial of the childhood inner anger, out of the parental whatever, and you're really dialing revolving your whole sort of subconscious into that sort of that broadcast of the mantra, right? And therefore the mantra begins to eat up every waste, every debris, every junk that's in your subconscious. And what happens is that everything begins to reorganize, and everything that was old choices, the old you, the dead you, the dusty you, the decay you, the problem you, the issue you, the dilemma you, the whatever you, right? The insecurity, the emotional bankruptcy, numbness, whatever, financial poverty. Basically, it will consume all that. It will spit out the gunk, right? And then basically, it will begin to organize it into the new choice, right? So I'll take out old choices, and it will bring in new choices. And isn't that what we want? We want new choices. We don't want, right, the choices of our mother or the father, the choices of our childhood, the choices of our, poverty, or the choices of whatever it is that we have, our career, or the way we live or love. If those choices are dead to us, or the emotional bankruptcy, or any sort of, like, it's just outdated, right? Or it's not giving us any sort of, like, it's not giving us a greater energy of our self-expression, right? Greater energy of self-expression, greater energy of 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 victory in our self-expression, then it's time we make new choices. But new choices, it's through the subconscious that really everything is about penetrating that subconscious beast, because that's where the mayhem is. And that thing about that mayhem is most of us live repressed, right? We're all living repressed, and we're repressing the stuff. We don't realize that that is really the real ruler of our life, is that sort of deep subconscious. So when we do the meditation, everything about new choices, prosperity, creativity, happy relationship, happy home, new travels, manifestation, it's all about some sort of hypnotic state, some sort of meditative state, some sort of deep parasympathetic sort of nervous system, that where you are able to connect with that subconscious, you're able to repattern, reprogram, and you're able to reparent that subconscious out of whatever is consuming you, which is the fear or the poverty or I don't have the energy or the low intelligence or whatever it is. The bad choices, the poor choices, the low choices, the weak choices, the old choices, the dead choices, right? And you begin to basically flush that all out, and you basically put in a new sort of foundation. And that's why we use the mantras, because that mantra can basically penetrate and consume everything just like a tiger that just gets in and gets it all. And that's what we want. And it does it so like effort easily in just like one sort of recitation, or we did 11 minutes of the rotation in with the arms. And basically what we're doing is we're putting it in and giving ourselves a total beauty upgrade, right? We talk about beauty enhancement, right? We're enhancing our beauty, but this is deep beauty, right? Have you ever heard, like, you have deep beauty? Right? Not just beauty, like you have a beautiful skin, or you have beautiful glow, you have beautiful cheeks, you have beautiful eyes, or you have a beautiful mind, or you have beautiful spirit. What about you have deep beauty, right? We talk about deep beauty, Yogi Bhajan, talk about the deep beauty. Deep beauty is about your subconscious basically is clean, and people can feel it. You're not vibrating this inner anger, this childhood resentment, this parental lack, or this parental neglect or abandonment, or the phobia, or the bad habit, the bad choice, the low energy, whatever, the numbness, this emotional bankruptcy, whatever it is. You're not vibrating that. You're not feeding that. It's not there to be fed, because it's already been consumed by the beast of the mantra, right? It's already been eaten, so it doesn't need to be fed, because it's already been eaten by something bigger than itself, which is the mantra. The mantra is a big force. It's a lot bigger than any fear, phobia, childhood anger, neglect. The only reason those things become so heavy is because we get so calcified so hard, it becomes like a rock that we're hitting against. And the bigger the rock in our subconscious, the more work we have to put into chiseling and breaking it down, right? So if this problem is a big sort of monolithic rock in your subconscious, it's going to take a lot of penetration from the mantra to chisel out that rock into what? Just sand, basically, right? For it to kind of be carried away by the water and to be washed out, right? Carried by the river and washed out. So that's why we focus so much on these mantras, because we do want deep beauty. Because when we think about the lineage of Kundalini Yoga, or the yogic science, and many lineages of yoga, particularly Kundalini Yoga, the reason why this lineage has such deep beauty, where the people have such deep beauty, right? They have such deep eyes. We look at Yogi Bhajan, his eyes are so deep. He's a deep beauty, not just physically, mentally, energetically beautiful, but he's also deep beauty. And that's why his glands are beautiful. His thymus, his pituitary pineal gland, his adrenal glands are beautiful. They're glowing gold, blue, pink, green, right? So that just represents a deep beauty, right? Where that individual has a very beautiful subconscious. Where if you were to go into the basement of that person, the basement isn't a bunch of dead rats, dusty furniture, old junk, memories of history and families of people we don't like, or boxes of just random stuff and just debris that you trip over. There's no light. It's just kind of stagnant, kind of icky, and kind of stifling. Right? You go in the basement. It's like, oh my God, the basement is even nicer than the living room. Right? Or you go, the basement is even more beautiful than the bedroom. And that's what that lineage of like Kundalini yoga taught by Yogi Bhajan was like, okay, let's make your basement even more beautiful than your bedroom or your living room, because that is your foundation, which everything is built upon. So you have the beautifulest basement or the beautifulest bedroom is just so beautiful, and your living room is so beautiful. But if your basement is like trashed, it's just a storage house with just dead rats kind of caught underneath your, sort of, stifling furniture that's, 2 centuries old with all these boxes of photos of people that you don't like, then it doesn't matter. That deep beauty is not there, right? So we want the basement to be just as magnetic as the bedroom or the living room, right? And that's what we talk about deep beauty, right? We say about the foundation blocks. The subconscious is this foundation blocks, and unfortunately for us, that it's created in childhood. It's created from 0 to about 9 years old, right? 0 to 5, in 5 to 9. That's when our subconscious sort of basic building block, right? Our first building block is established. Because that's when we're most vulnerable, that's when we're most receptive, and that's when our subconscious energetically begins to take on a shape. Energetically, it becomes a shape from 0 to 5, 5 to 9. Um, so, what that means, right? What I mean, unfortunately, is that a lot of us, um, we have a lot of experiences in the parental and the home environment, in the child, the caretakers, the school, the just things that are very harsh and can be very arrhythmic, or can be very neglectful, right? So we get a subconscious that is not very fruitful, right? Not very vital for a lot of us, right? And for some of us, right, we get a subconscious that is set up in a particular way that could be very restricting, right? You have to be this, you have to do that. It can be very, very tight, very authoritative. So then we feel really uptight as a kid, and then we feel very angry as a kid because we can't do, say, or be what we know we want to be, which is great. Or subconscious can have no discipline, where it's a free for all, right? The parents treated free fall, and it's free for all, right? Which is total polarity, where your subconscious basically, you don't understand how to earn, right? You don't understand how to earn or how to prove yourself or how to apply yourself, because you've given no discipline. It's been a free for all, right? Here's all the candy you ever want, and go away, right? Or the subconscious, it can be something of a lot of creativity, right? Where your parent or parents, caretakers, they surrounded you as a child with a lot of creativity, right? That could be, the parent was a yoga teacher or a dance teacher, or the parent was some sort of scholar or gardener, or something that they did that was very, very active with the nature, and very fulfilling for the parent. And that automatically creates a subconscious for the baby, the child, to be one of fulfillment, right? Right? The child basically kind of sort of the energetics of the parent, the caretakers, the home, the environment, very much sort of shapes the basic identity of the person, the child, the young person, right? So if the home environment, if the caretakers, the parents, if they're not fulfilled, if they don't have like a healthy relationship, if they don't think good about themselves, if they don't even feel good, they can't fake it, because the children will know, and they'll begin to kind of sort of create an identity around that, such as, okay, harmonious relationship isn't real, right? Or that's not a part of my identity as a young baby or whatever, right? Because my mother is always arguing with my father, right? Or there's an identity around, okay, my father neglects, right? He's never there. He's always escaping. So my identity is men like to escape, and that's just who I think I am. Men escape, or they want to run away, right? Or many idea. I mean, it could be even very positive sort of identity, such as when the going gets rough, my mother, she always prays. So now my identity as a young person, my basic sort of identity in the basement, my subconscious is that when the going gets rough, my identity, what I think I am, what I believe about myself is you pray. You pray, right? So it can go either way. It can be positive, it can be negative. But that basic identity of who we think we are, who we believe we are, is created in the environment, in the home, by the caretakers and the parents from 0 to 5 and 5 to 9. So when we are adults and right, that inner ear is basically our inner child speaking, right, or crying or screaming or wanting attention or wanting to express or wanting to pursue or wanting to be free or wanting to do something, right? And that's the inner ear, right, of that voice of that basically 0 to 5, 5 to 9, of that the voice of the young person, the basic identity that we were given as a child. So when we connect with that inner ear, which a lot of it's repressed, we repress our inner ear, we repress our inner child, we repress our basic identity that basically is who we believe and who we think we are as an adult, right? So we repress that, and when we play the mantras they're all designed, especially they're all designed. Sanskrit is designed to really basically reprogram human into an excellent human, a deep human. Is what all the Sanskrit is about, is reprogramming shallow human, weak human, frail human into a deep human, right? Into a strong human, into a warrior human. And that's about, if you want to be a warrior, you got to be strong from 0 until the age you are, right? So that's where weakness is. A weakness is that childhood, that identity, right? That we basically is shaped, that we have from childhood, um, based on the father-mother relationship, based on the father image, the mother image, the environment, and how harmonious or how sort of, there's some sort of neglect, or there's things uncared, or it's not nourished, right? That all sort of creates our what we really think about ourselves and what we really believe about ourselves until we reprogram, right? We can repattern and reparent that sort of subconscious through the magnificent mantras that we have, right? The Sanskrit, because it's to get it wants us to be a deep human. That's the whole purpose of the Sanskrit, is for a deep human. Um, so it broadcasts into what is a deep human, their subconscious. It broadcasts into our basement, basically to flush in higher frequency, higher love, higher creativity, higher prosperity, to basically override anything that's within our identity that's cheap, that's shallow, that's broken, that's neglectful, that's hateful, that's bitter, that's angry, and it just flushes all of that. It rewrites all of like, it rewrites our entire foundational identity. And that's magnificent, because that's our building block to, we call our ego as an adult. The building block to, we call our relationship with men, women, ourselves. The building block, as we keep growing, right, more building blocks. We get into self-concept, an image, a persona, sort of a social identity, right? We get into a career identity, and all these sort of personalities begin to build up from the foundational building block, which is our childhood identity. And then we get social identity, then we get, outward identity, then we get persona, and then we get an ego, and then we get all these personalities stacked on top of that, and then we get a character, right? But if that foundational block is not deep, right? It's not having a deep sort of radiance or beauty. If it is no deep beauty, then our character will never be as beautiful as it could be, because the foundation of our identity, which is the basement, that basically sort of determines how beautiful our character will be, right? So we talk about that childhood is something, right? So what the beauty of our sort of basement really sort of determines the beauty of, right, of our character, which is basically our adult self, our adult nobility. Our character is an adult nobility. So we don't get a character until we navigate through social identity, outward identity, inward identity, and the personalities, and then eventually, right, over time, we get a character, which is about like the unity where all our sort of personalities and all our sort of identities and ego persona, it kind of comes together. It's called our character. I mean, it means it's you are credible, right? But a lot of characters, they don't have beauty, or they don't have impact, or they don't have radiance or a glow, or they're not very there's no sort of experience with people's characters. It's very boring, it's very blah, it's very shallow. Is because the foundational identity, the childhood self, is it's a basement that's kind of old, dusty, kind of crummy, or just left there, kind of stark and sort of stagnant or unchecked and uncared for. It's unattended, right? Um, there's no attention given to that, so it's just kind of dead, basically, right? Our childhood becomes dead to us. Our inner child becomes dead to us. Like a basement we never go into. We just let it kind of just hang out in the dark for decades, right? Um, so that's why our character is not as joyous or as beautiful, right? Or innocent, glowing, really, really glowing, is because the glow is that inner glow, right? We talk about deep beauty, and that deep beauty is the glow of the childhood, or the glow of your subconscious, or the glow of your foundational identity, or the glow of your inner child, right? And that when someone's inner child is glowing, their beauty is about 16 times more beautiful mentally, emotionally, energetically, physically, because that inner child, when it's very beautiful, naturally the glands are just very, very nourished, because the subconscious isn't throwing into the system all of this waste or this debris or this dust or this old stuff, right? When you keep flushing into your system stuff, old habit, old behavior, all this sort of, stuff that's been in our basement unchecked, untended for decades, and you flush it through the system is going to feel very old, because you're putting something in you that it needs to be checked, it needs to be cleaned, it needs to be revolved. It needs to be brought into the light of freedom and peace and exploration and movement, right? So, in conclusion, right, think of your basement as your subconscious, your inner child, and your basement should be more beautiful, 16 times more beautiful than your room or your living room, right? Because that basement, it represents your foundational block to everything that you are. So you want that foundational block to be something very, very beautiful, because what that's going to make you in return is it's going to make you a deep beauty, not just a beautiful face or lush skin or glow, right, of your aura. It's going to make you deep beautiful, right? Deep beautiful. And you can see that in people's psyche, that they got all this inner anger, that resentment, and that I hate my dad, and all that kind of stuff. And it's not very beautiful or attractive. It kind of makes you like, okay, there's this problem, an issue, a dilemma, and trauma, and I don't like myself, and I don't like my dad, and all of this sort of mood and anxiety and frustration, and agitation, right? And it really it takes away the beauty. It drains and depletes the beauty, to the point where you basically look, some people look very, very dead inside, or there's like decay, because their inner child is a basement that's just like kind of gross looking, right? It's just unattended, it's no attention, it's dark, there's a bunch of pictures of memories, and the furniture is like old and like grandma old, and it's just it's not a very youthful, or not a very inviting, or very like creative place to be. right? So your inner child needs to be active, it needs to be alive, it needs to be playful, it needs to be moving, right? And when your inner child's moving, your subconscious is moving, right? When you're not in touch with your inner child, it means your subconscious is most likely stagnant or just sitting there, just like a basement that nobody's opened the door for decades. And that's kind of a haunting. That's a haunting subconscious. So you want your subconscious to be active, to be like feng shui, where the energy's moving, the chi is very vital. That when your basement's like that, your subconscious, that's how you know somebody's inner child is very, very proactive. They're very engaged and involved in their inner child's fulfillment because they understand the inner child basically is joy. And when you participate in joy, is not about I got all this millions of dollars, I got the house, the wife, the car. It's not the American dream. Joy is about you being by yourself, having subtle happiness, meaning children, they literally just sit here and be looking at this crystal for like an hour and just be playing a game in their head about the amazing crystal and telling a story about the crystal and making up all kinds of wonders and just amazing things about this crystal, like writing a poem or singing a song about this crystal, all within an hour. Right? You've seen kids that can spend like 8 hours just outside playing in the river and climbing the trees. That is joy, where you don't need anything, you're not attached to anything, you're not addicted to anything, you're not consumed by anything, you're not chasing anything, you're not hassling, hustling, you're not trying to get approval, you're not trying to get recognition, validation. You are just subtly using your imagination, your great expansion of your mind to basically get deeply involved in Earth, just to get deeply involved in the sort of wonder, the mysticism, the mystery, and the sort of enchantment of Earth. That's joy. That's when you know you're in your joy. That's when you know you're in your child. When you're not in your inner child, you can't sit still. You can't be by yourself. You have to get attached to something. You gotta get in a lock. You can't. You're bored. So you gotta fill yourself up with all these distractions. Conversations. You can't talk about anything like deep, or the conversations are kind of shallow or narcissistic, right? That's when you're not in your joy, right? Or joy is like you only get joy when you get this or that, or it's something transactional, right? That means your inner child is not very proactive and you're not engaging, right? Because we think our inner child has no relevance, it's not important, it's just dead once we get 25. But we're realizing that that joy is what gives us originality, it gives us an edge, it gives us innovation, it gives us a vision that's beyond restriction, limitation, and sort of programming of society. And that inner child also, it gives us like a fresh perspective. It gives us like a sort of unique enjoyment, right? It gives us peace, right? Peace in who we are, peace in what we want, peace in our dreams, and gives us magic and possibility and opportunity and sort of this feeling of miracle, like prayer, right? So when we connect with our inner child, we can be able to we have a deep beauty, a deep radiance, and therefore our character, right, which is of strength, the persona, ego, right, all the identities and personalities that make you a character, right. You have an executive mind and you have a creative mind, and you are the great sort of composer that brings all this stuff together, right, brings the practical and imaginative together, right. Um, but you have a deep beauty to it, meaning what is streaming up from the basement up, right? Because energy rises up and levitates up from the ground, from the deep, deep earth. Energy kind of rises. So the basement energy rises into the first floor, into the right, the second, the third floor, right? So when you see that sort of glow, that deep glow, it's where that there's this beautiful sort of inner child that's rising from the depths of that person, and it's very, very magnetizing. It's very, very mesmerizing, right? Because it's unaltered, unaffected joy in a character, right? Joy and challenge, joy and frustration, joy confusion or, missed opportunity or, feeling down or feeling sad. But ultimately there's this consistent sort of underlining current, which is can be empowered, the inner child is like a mantra itself that is, um, when we think of honey hum brum hum, that mantra itself basically is programming in your mind victory, 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 victory. And that's what the child does constantly, regardless of what state or phase or economic or social or whatever. There's like victory, victory, victory. And that's what makes a child like very youthful and very much a more sophisticated problem solver than a lot of these adults, right? Because they have this victory, victory, victory. They don't have this waste and this debris of like stagnation and like it's victory, victory, victory. It's really, really heavy too. It's very like hardcore victory. A lot of these kids until it gets overridden by another a consumer energy force, which can be, the mother, I'm not good enough. I settled for a man that doesn't treat me right, and that becomes, the child's, or the father is, I don't like, I gotta escape, or, I don't like, or it can be very positive, right? The consuming sort of subconscious mold from the mother could be the going gets rough, pray, or it could be from the father a positive sort of, the father is, um, you know, I'm very dedicated to my career, right, or to my creativity or whatever it is that I do. I'm really dedicated, right? So that could be subconscious mold that's very positive, and you that's something that can be used to victory, right? But there are many things that are not used to victory, right? Like I don't like myself, or I have to escape myself. Like that does not victory, right? So we want the sort of victory of right the victory identity in model to be the prevailing model, and these other sort of models to just kind of obliterate, and that's what mantra does. So, I know I went deep into this sort of discussion about mantra because I feel like everything about Kundalini Yoga is a mantra, right? And get to know like kind of what we're doing so that we can better like kind of adjust ourselves and let that stuff happen. Sometimes it's good to be aware of what's going on internally so that you can better relax and better let that thing happen within you, right? Because evolution can be scary. Evolution is very intimidating, very, very intimidating. But when you got awareness, okay, this is what's going on with me, you can better relax and be like, okay, victory. So, thank you and Satnam.